Hi Ankit.
Hi.
So we have heard so much about your journey through various articles and newspapers and whatnot. How was your childhood?
Okay. Thank you for calling me, and
It's a pleasure that you actually joined us.
Yeah, my birthplace is Rajasthan. Okay, and my childhood, my studies, and everything that has happened in Rajasthan. So my childhood was very simple. I was studious as well as I was interested in sports activities like athletics.
Right.
So I have spent my first academic years, like 17, 18 years, just reading and doing some sports activities.
But it had never occurred to you when you were really small that you wanted to take up a journey. There was nothing, no thought
No,
like
no.
that at all.
I always dreamt of living a corporate life and doing some good job in a good company. That was my dream. Like, we are always conditioned like that. So that was my dream as well. Ki I will have a big four-wheeler, a big house for myself, and I will pursue that kind of life. So that was my idea. So I started my career in 2015, and in the same year I had started cycling for fitness purpose. I wanted to become better with my health. I was overweight, and I wanted to reduce it with the help of running and cycling. So in Jaipur city, I got to know that cycling is not only a fitness thing. There are some travelers who are traveling the whole world by cycle. I started doing endurance rides, like long distance cycling. There is one French club which is based in Paris, and that is Audex Brevet Club, and they organize long distance cycling, which is called randonneur in French. And that means 200 km within 12 hours, 600 km within 40 hours. So I was doing them, and I was finishing them within the time limit. Like, I did one 600 km from India Gate to Wagah border within 38 hours. But when I was doing those long distance cycling, I was realizing that there are so many beautiful villages on the road, on my way, but I am not stopping here, and something is missing in my journey. I'm just doing those marathons just to reach from point A to point B. I'm not learning anything. So from there on, that realization came to me, and I did some trips on motorbike also in Rajasthan and somewhere else. I was not satisfied because the noise of the motorbike engine was not letting me enjoy the peace of the mountains and anything. So all those matters, they were coming slowly to me, and I think that was the initial point when I was coming slowly to this kind of journey.
I remember reading in one of the articles that you had started off on a bike, right? And with a lot of luggage.
From Jaipur, I had started my journey to reach the northernmost corner of India, which is Leh and Ladakh. So that was my first leg of the journey. Okay, so from Jaipur to Delhi, then Gurgaon, then Manali, then Manali to Leh, and then Ladakh. Then there is a last village of India which is called Turtuk. So that was my initial period, and yes, as you said, initially I was not prepared. Initially I was carrying unnecessary luggage which was around 40 kg. So if you see foreign travelers and some other travelers, they carry 60 to 70 kgs on a cycle. So I was also doing that, but later on my journey continued. So I realized and I learned that if you want to become a true traveler, you should be free of the luggage and burden. So I kept reducing my luggage. I reduced it to only 2 kgs. I'm carrying only 2 pairs of clothing. One I'm wearing, one is in the bag. Some books only. And food is not the problem. I'm staying with people, so food is never a problem. I should not carry it with me. So that is my learning, that if you want to become a true traveler, so your mind should be free of burden and anything else.
And how long has it been since you started?
33 months.
33 months.
Yeah.
So you actually went looking for a house through a picture, not an address. Like that has never happened. I've never heard of something like that.
So I got a phone call from Jaipur, and it was my friend. He is also a cycle traveler. So he called me in Manali and asked me, brother, can I do a favor for him? So I said, yes, tell me. So he said that last year he had gone to Ladakh, and he had stayed with a local family, like I am staying right now. So so he wanted to give something to that family out of a thankful gesture. Okay, and so he mailed me a photograph that my friend is a photographer plus traveler. So he mailed me a photograph with that family he had stayed with. So he told me, brother, can you get a big printout of this picture, and can you deliver it on your way to Ladakh, there is a small village in Ladakh. Okay, and he did not give me address because he had forgotten the address. Now how will I find the home? I just have a photograph of that house, so I need to see the photograph and need to search in the village where is that house. Okay, so I took a printout from Manali and I carried it. So that village is around more than 200 kilometers, and the village name is Sissu, SISSU. Okay, so I went there and he told me, when you go there, you can take my name and you can also stay there. You can pitch your tent or anything else. So okay, I reached to that village after 2-3 days, and I started looking for the house. Okay, with the reference of that photograph. So then I reached finally, and I knocked on the door, and the female, she came into the balcony. Okay, and she asked me, and what do I want? So I told that, okay, I'm this and I want to stay here. My friend had come last. I did not tell that my friend had come. I asked her that if she can help me for this stay. She told me, no, we have a guest house, but still we cannot help, and we charge for around 1500 for one room. So I said, no, I cannot pay money, but if you can give me some space outside, I have my tent. So no, still I cannot give. So I said, okay ma'am, please come down for a while, I want to show you something. So she came down, she opened the door, and I told her that, do you remember my friend Sudhanshu? So he had come last year and stayed with you, you have helped him. So she said yes. Then I said, he has sent something for you, this is the photograph. Okay, so she was very happy. And then her husband came, and then they gave me one place outside on their roof where I pitched my tent. And that night, that full day, I stayed with them. They gave me a very warm food, Ladakhi food, and they showed me their home, their own cooking system. They have a different cooking system in Ladakh. So they showed me everything, and they were very happy. They did not charge me, and yes, that was my story.
Wow.
I am into a journey. Journey means experiences and emotions sharing and love sharing and exchange of knowledge with the people. And I'm not doing anything new. Whatever I am telling you about journey, about my experiences, it has been in our culture. People they have traveled like this before, even the whole world and on foot. Okay, people used to travel like this in ancient times, like Rahul Sankritya and Vivekananda, Jesus, Guru Nanak, Vasco da Gama, Shankaracharya, and James Cook. Everyone, Subhash Chandra Bose, everyone, they were a traveler, and their agendas and their purpose were different: religious, spiritual, freedom fighting, and delivering a message or helping the villagers. So the same thing is happening to me. So I'll tell you one story from Kashmir. It is a village called Shopian, and when I was having a cup of tea, two Kashmiri kids came to me, and they were very surprised. There was a mixed feeling of happiness and surprise that how can I come on a cycle to their village as a tourist. No one comes to that village as a tourist. So they forcefully took me to their home. Brother, we will not let you go without having a cup of tea with us. Let's go, and you can meet our family members also. So when I went to their home, they served me biscuits and tea. And they were also suspicious, a little suspicious that I might be someone else. I might be a threat as an outsider.
Right.
So they were welcoming as well as they were suspicious. So like a male member from their family, he was checking my phone, he was checking all the photographs that what I'm doing. So then they were okay. Then Kashmir is famous for apples.
Right.
So they brought 2 kgs apple from their farm. Okay.
Wow.
And they told me to carry it along with me. It will be helpful for my next leg. If I am hungry, I can eat them. So I told them I am already carrying 40 kg and I'm not able to carry extra 2 luggage with me. So they said, okay, you eat something here and we will make a space in your luggage, and they made the space. Now then they said you can carry those apples. Then I went ahead and I reached to the center of the village, and it was already afternoon, late afternoon, and my next destination was still far, and people were telling me, like, I came to know that there are stories of danger and threat.
Right.
I should not move ahead. So I was there in the month of September 2017, and there was one national crime was happening. which was hair chopping. So hair chopping means there was a mysterious figure, the criminal. He was entering into the houses uh, during midnight, and they were chopping off the hair of women,
The braids, yeah.
the
yeah.
braids and hair.
It was a big news actually.
Yeah. And no one knew who is doing that. Like it happens in a village, na? They shout from distance, okay, a stranger has come. Like when you go to Rajasthan, they shout, okay, a foreigner has come. Then they run after you. So it was happening to me in that Shopian village, that they were shouting, okay, he is the hair chopper. Okay, ask him, question him, talk to him, who is he? So they were stopping me. They were coming to me in jeep and four-wheeler, and they were stopping me. They were asking questions. Then I was telling them, no, I'm just a traveler. I'm seeing my own country. I'm meeting everyone. I'm just a normal guy. So they were very okay. They became a friend within 2 minutes, and they said, okay, brother, it's okay. You go. We are all because they were also concerned for their women, their ladies. That's why they were asking me questions. Then they asked me if you have any sharp object like scissor and knife. So you please throw it away, because we have listened to your story. What if someone else is not listening to you? They start doubting on you. So yes, I had a scissor with me for my own personal use for beard, and so I throw it away, and then I proceeded. Then next story came to me that I did not have a place to stay in that village, and no one was ready to help. I was standing right in the center of the village, and one Sardarji, he came to me because I was standing in front of his shop. He was a bike mechanic. So he asked me what I am doing in front of his shop. So I told that I am doing this journey, and if anyone can help you from your village. So he said, no, he told me again the same story of militancy, and no one will believe on you. So I asked if you have a mandir or a mosque where I can stay. So he said, no one will help you, even mandir or mosque, no one will help you. So I asked him, okay, you are a Sikh Sardar, do you have a Gurudwara where I can stay? So he said, yes, we have a Gurudwara, but that's not a residential place. We have only the place for prayer. So they talked something, and they decided, and they came to me and they said, okay. And that was, I think, first time in the history of any Gurudwara, and I have seen first time in my life, in their life also, that they allowed me to go inside and sleep near to Guru Granth Sahib. They said me, okay, you can lock from inside, you can sleep near to our holy book, and just make sure that you put your leg into the opposite direction, like the rule says. So that was the first time in the history of any Gurudwara and any story.
What you have had like a hands-on experience of it. Like you've gone to different villages, learned about those villages, learned skills, and moved on to learn more. Can you tell a bit about the things that you've learned in this journey? Some prime things and a few more things that you'd like to add on self-sustainability.
Yeah, self-sustainability or self-sufficiency, as we call it. So it's a very good thing, and many people, they have naturally are following it, okay, out of their own interest. Because this is one topic no one teaches you in schools or universities. Whatever we are learning through our textbooks or our degrees or our courses, that is only about the economical development of the country. Okay, there is not a particular course which is dedicated towards self-sustainability and self-sufficiency or rural economy. Okay, and if there are universities for this course, they are not very well entertained. Okay, no one wants to go there. But if you see, we have always been inclined towards self-sustainability. Okay, our modern world tells us to be to become a global economy. There is no mention of ecology. Okay,
Right.
how people are living in villages, how they are producing their own food, how they are making their own stuff, and our houses. Like people used to live in mud houses, which are still standing strong. Okay, for centuries, mud houses with all the natural elements without any use of cement.
Right.
Okay, so I have learned it in my journey that how to make a mud structure which is already cooler.
Wow.
We don't need an AC to put inside, and the natural ways of food cooking with mud vessels and wooden vessels. So I have stayed with wooden sculptors who taught me how to make our own wooden vessels.
Right.
And there have been many villages in India, in every state, who are working with this kind of alternative education. Like students over there, whatever I have learned at this age through this journey about self-sustainability, those children, right from the age of 10 to 12, they are learning by doing it. They know how to grow their own food. So they don't go through the normal way of education,
Right.
like sitting into the classroom and listening to the teacher and watching over the blackboard or whiteboard. So they are actually into the field. Their day starts at 6 o'clock. They learn how to do organic farming for first 2 or 3 hours. They learn how to tend the soil, and then they make their own soap without any chemical from natural products. They make their own shampoos, and they are not living like a senior or junior. Okay, they don't have a class structure of 6th day, 7th day, 8th day. They are all living in a community, and they are studying computer, English, as well as the natural knowledge. So that was our concept of, I think, Mahatma Gandhi and some other legends. They used to tell about the dignity of labor and self-sustainability. So, and like the shirt I'm wearing, I have woven it. I was staying with some khadi weavers. So I learned how to make your own cloth, your own food, and how to conserve your water, because in cities everything is available on a switch. You switch on, you will get the electricity. You switch on, you will get the water. But in villages, in the rural economy, everyone is actually conserving them, and they are actually producing it. In cities, you just need to Google Pay everything, and you just need to order your groceries. So even if you ask the children how do you get your milk, they will answer from the shop or from the dairy, but they will not know how to get their own food and milk. So that is about self-sustainability and becoming interdependency.
Right.
So that was our barter system earlier. Everyone in a village, they used to live on a barter system, and that is happening in my journey. How people are connecting to me, and they are keeping me, and I am exchanging knowledge and some skills with them, and they are sharing something with me.
Yes. So your journey has been an ongoing like episode of barter system, like how it works in barter system that we used to have, in like olden times, where you do a service and you get something for it, and then that's how it goes. There's no involvement of money. Yeah.
That is the principle of tribal communities.
Yes.
If you go with to the tribal of any state, particularly Chhattisgarh or Madhya Pradesh, or even in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, any tribal places, or even in Northeast, you will know that how interdependently they are living. In modern day lifestyle, we are told or we are taught to become independent, and that's where the thread and the fabric of the society is breaking. We all want to become independent by taking up a job or a business. Then we feel very independent and very proud. But earlier that was not the matter. Everyone was interdependent for emotional matter as well as societal matter. So tribals, whenever there is a marriage or there is a death or any occasion, they share everything. They don't share anything in cash. If there is a marriage, so the families, someone will come with rice, someone will come with spices, someone will come with dal. Same goes with the death ceremonies. They all work together, and even while they have a crop season, so they grow together. They work in each other's field. Okay, they don't employ labor on a cash basis.
Oh wow!
And they are eating the best of the food in the world, which we are not aware of.
That's true. So do you think that you are kind of bringing like a future kind of lifestyle? You think this is going to be like the future of how we should live?
No, this will not be the complete future.
Right.
Because it's not something special. What is happening right now, I'll tell you. If someone from the city, if any architect or any modern person like me or like you, if we make mud house for ourselves, that will become a big news. But that is not the point of it. People have been making it since ages.
True.
Okay, so, for the last 5,000 years they have been making it. And if someone is doing something with natural products right now, that will become a blog, a big publishing blog. So that is a irony.
Right.
Okay. So it's not a future or it's not a past. It has always been with us.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not that everyone will follow that, because our government system and our banking system and monetary system works on economic development. So the people who are interested in this, they will follow this system.
Right.
Who wants to live a peaceful life connected with the earth.
Right.
So they will only follow.
So your journey depicts what keeps you going. Like, do you not feel like giving up sometimes, about this journey that you have started without a destination? Like, there's no destination that you have in mind. It is just an explorative journey. But don't you feel like, come on, this is enough. I mean, I'm done. Like this lockdown period,
Yeah.
you know, didn't it like demotivate you? Why are you doing this? Don't you have those questions sometimes going on in your mind?
So first question is like about my resources.
Yes.
So yes, I'm not using much resource like money in my journey. I'm not promoting the idea that if you want to travel the whole world, so you should have lots of money. That is not the real idea. There are so many millionaires, they have lots of money, but they are not able to do this. Okay, so money is not the major problem. For survival, you need food. So like I told, I always stay with people and I always connect with the community because I want to know the world through people, because world is nothing but nature and people. So money is never involved, and even I left my job, my normal life before this journey. So there is no source for me to depend on that. So my idea is to promote that if you want to travel and learn from the society, from community, so money comes at second or third place. First, your will and your connection with the community, how you can survive on your own, that comes at first point. That is my idea. Second is that like you asked me if I ever wanted to give up. So no, there is not a single point has come in my journey, because I'm not doing it by putting any effort. It is happening effortlessly. It is coming to me naturally. I never plan it. It's always spontaneous. So whenever you do something out of spontaneity, and anything which is coming naturally to you, connections are happening naturally, learnings are happening naturally. So you never want to give up. Okay, be it your education, be it your any venture or anything else, any activity, any sports activity or anything. So you keep doing it without thinking. Even this lockdown, so it's not that I'm always on the move. I stay with the family if I'm getting good stories, if I'm exchanging something more. So in Bangalore I have stayed for 4 months. Okay, I am here for the last 4 months in January, and I'm learning some traditional art with my present family, and I have met some other people also. There is one doctor nearby who is working selflessly for the villagers. So I worked with him as a volunteer. So it's like I'm enjoying the stillness, I'm enjoying the pause, and that is also part of journey.
Wow.
I left that idea of Guinness World Record because that was a limiting factor in my journey. I was not able to explore fully. I always had a burden in my mind that okay, I have to follow some rules and I have to follow some, I have to fill some forms to get my record done. So I left that idea. I wanted to be with the people.
Right.
That is my another dream. I'm making a point in my journey, like I'm making a common man of India. And so I want to learn some special people also who have started from the scratch.
Right.
Now they have become something special in their life. So first I met in Bangalore only. She is Sudha Murthy ma'am,
Right.
the head of Infosys. And second I met Kiran Bedi ma'am in Pondicherry. Then third I met A.R. Rahman in Chennai. And fourth I met VVS Lakshman in Hyderabad. Then fifth I met Yukta Mukhi, 1999 Miss World in Pune. So all these people I wanted to meet because they are still soft-spoken, self-made, and still they are eager to meet common people. So they also met me like without any appointment, just like a common man on a phone call or a message, or someone else connected me to them without any email or nothing else. And they also are talking to me like you are talking to me right now. Sitting.
Makes sense. Yeah. I'm sure they're also as curious as me about your journey. Like, why is this guy going on a bicycle for 2.5 years? What's
bicycle.
going on? Yeah. Why bicycle? Yeah, that is one question.
Why bicycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not a motorbike or?
So you answer me. Why boys? You tell me. Like I tell the counter question to everyone.
Right.
Like when I was in Ladakh, so that is a real incident. So if you see, there is a common picture. You will see the group of the long line of motorbikers.
Right. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
They
So
asked
everyone
me,
aspires that.
So they asked me question, why bicycle? So I asked them, you tell me why motorbike. You have come to such a peaceful place like Ladakh, and where you can, if you are sitting still or you are standing still, you can hear your own heartbeat, you can hear your own breathing, you can hear your own footsteps while walking.
Right.
And when I am on a very loud engine motorbike, I will not be able to enjoy that. I will be always disturbed. and I always have to put the helmet on me. I will not get the real air on my face, on
Right.
in my hair. And if I am on a car, it will be like watching from a television, from the windshield. I will not be able to enjoy the whole
Yeah.
environment. So if I am on a cycle, if I am passing through a village road or any highway road, so people are seeing me actually. Even if I am riding, so people who are passing by on a two-wheeler or a car, they lower down their speed and they drive along with me and they talk to me. Okay, who am I? Where I have come from? Where I am going? Then they feel very happy. Then they take me to somewhere else. Or if someone they don't have a time, they are going very fast.
Fast, yeah.
So in their rear view mirror, they give me a thumbs up. And if I'm passing through a village road, so I can smell, okay, a neem tree has gone, a mango tree has
Wow.
gone, that is the crop of rice.
Are you serious?
So I can smell everything.
Oh, wow.
So that is the enjoyment. And all the stories, whatever I'm telling you, how people are hosting me, that is because I am open. If I was on a motorbike, on a car, very few people will talk to me. They will come, they will take initiative, or they will come to invite me. I'm on a cycle, so anyone on the road, they come and they talk to me.
Right.
And they give me so many stories.
Just one last question. Personally, I want to ask you is that you have met so many kinds of people across India, like villagers, scientists, doctors, all kinds. What is that one attitude that you think helps you go through all of these different kind of people? What is that one attitude one must have to be able to deal with any kind of human being?
Okay, so I think it's that virtue or that attribute. I think is the humankind is believer. The word is believe or believer. So everyone is in India or even in the other countries also. They are believer. They believe upon everything. They believe on humans, on emotions. So that's make them special. Okay, like in my journey, a belief system is happening. I know that something will happen for me the next day. I'm not aware who is going to host me, who is going to give me next set of knowledge or a different kind of experience. I don't know, but every day is giving me something new and something exciting because of this belief system. So that is how we are connected as a human. We are believer and we are welcoming to everything. We are welcoming to nature. We are welcoming to humans, and we are welcoming even to viruses.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yes.
Amazing. What is your overall view about India? Since you've covered so many states and so many villages and all of that, what is India for you with this experience? And how do you visualize Indians like as people? What is your feeling about that?
Yeah, so my experience till date in 15 states and so many villages, thousands of villages, I think the India what I have seen is never in headlines. Whatever we are seeing in headlines and news and media and social media, I think that is a very minute India, whatever we are experiencing in our normal daily life. We need more dreamers, we need more storytellers in present times, okay, because we are lacking them. We have always so many people like engineers, doctors, and everyone like a title of a job, but we don't have dreamers and storytellers. So we need more those people, and to become that, you just have to take the first step, like I took, and everything good is happening in my journey. So when you are following your dream, so first you have to be 100% sure about yourself. When you are 100% sure, then everyone else will help, your family, your friend. Otherwise, they will keep questioning you. Why are you doing it? So I was 100% sure, and I was always into this kind of journey and cycling, and I'm doing it continuously right now with the help of everything. I have been asked this question that how am I doing this journey with strangers, and how do they believe on me, and how do I believe upon them?
Exactly.
Okay. So I also ask this question to those hosts and those people who meet me, and they tell me they actually want to meet, and they actually want to know the stories, and they actually want to learn from each other. It's just that some other stuff is overpowering us, our social media, and like I told you, Indians are as a humankind we are believer. Okay, so we believe upon everything, even on the fake news we are believing,
Right.
even on the fake facts we believe.
Yeah.
It's good that we believe on emotions and all, but
we get affected by some small portion
Yes.
of negative news.
True.
So we should not get affected as a country, because what I am exploring, I will use two Hindi words here.
Sure.
There is a difference in Rashtra and Desh. So I am not exploring Rashtra. Rashtra is according to the constitution. I am exploring Desh. Desh means the people. So I am exploring the real people, real sentiments, real works of the people. So we should concentrate upon more upon them. And I will say that India is still a golden bird. The difference is just that the wings are cut. It's unflapping golden bird. We need to flap our wings.
Wow. Lovely. So Ankit, what is your message for aspiring explorers and dreamers, as you would call? What is your message for them?
Okay, so aspiring dreamers, they can be from any aspect of life. They can be from any field of interest, and that should not be limited to anything. So I would say that whatever is your dream, do it in combination with the people. Come out from your mobile phones and come out from your set definitions of lifestyle and start exploring it by yourself. Make your own stories. We need more storytellers. So if you have your own stories, your own experiences, without any textbook, without any media channels, so that is the small message, that keep connecting with the community. Everyone is dependent on Google and YouTube for knowledge and for connections, but come out of that.
Lovely. Thank you.